Okay, I've been doing what I've been doing for quite a while, which is a reflection upon my experience as a reflection.
Almost a century.
I haven't even gotten through the first sentence, and you're already addressing my elderly status. Here's how you know you're old: when you get to a multiple choice on age, and you're always the last category. 65 and over and older, 65 and over. Hey, can we put some other categories in there? I mean, let's put presidential age. No, that would get it between 77 and 82, or I don't know. I just simply want to say that I am delighted. I am delighted that we have an organization, an educational organization called Church Answers University. They're not a sponsor. I'm going to talk about our sponsor in just a moment, but we just see such great things from Church Answers University. We have multiple diplomas that we can offer, and you can go look at that. Just go to Church Answers University by going to our website and looking at Church Answers University, look at our different diplomas, and think about how you can use them. Sam, you have used Church Answers University in your church to actually train lay leaders who didn't want to go to seminary and with the expense or the time for that, but they wanted some type of foundational training. So your lay leaders have done it.
It's worked wonders at our church to offer these diplomas. We've trained up teachers who teach life groups. So there's a theological component here, and about to be. In fact, by the time this airs, we'll probably be using it for our worship leaders as well, because we offer a diploma in worship. So, it's really a good way to go to train up your people, particularly your leaders. The $500 scholarship's very generous. So yeah, churchanswers.university. It's also on our website, churchanswers.com. You can also email cau@churchanswers.com and, claim that $500 scholarship.
And just to put it in perspective, full tuition is $1,500 for all 10 courses.
Yeah.
And
this
is
is
a 1/3
discount.
off.
1/3 off, and you get books. It includes books, all your books.
Yeah, the books are not extra. They're included with this. I was in a church, Sam, recently, and a lady came up to me and said, "Thank you." I said, "You're welcome." I started walking away. She said, "Don't you want to know what for?" I said, "I don't know." And she said, "Yeah, let me tell you." She said, "I just finished the women's discipleship at Church Answers University. It was incredible." She said, "I'm now head of the women's ministry. I had no training, no theological training, but now, not because of the training, she'd already been named that, but she said, I really and now feel so equipped, so better equipped by getting this diploma from Church Answers University." It's great. I know we weren't supposed to park there, but I was just thinking about all the great things that are happening at CAU, as we call it, as our insider language. Hey, but I do want to get to our sponsor. We absolutely love the work that is taking place with Upward. Upward is your place to bring sports to your church. Now, if you really want to reach your community, Upward is the place to reach your community. They're the ones that will bring sports to you. They will customize a unique player package. They'll let you choose your sports. And it doesn't matter if you got a gym, use the gym. Oh, we don't have a gym. Use the parking lot. Oh, our parking lot's not good enough. It's kind of rough. Use a field. They will bring sports to whatever you are offering. And hey, by the way, this is releasing in June. I think I'm right. This is releasing, yes, June 11th. This is releasing in June. It's time for you to get your winter sports league organized through Upward. Give them a call, email them, let them know that Church Answers sent them to you. We got a link here, and they're still offering, it's not much longer, the 2024 Sports Startup Grant, $500. And you get to have an outreach into your community that I think is unparalleled. They're the largest Christian youth sports organization in the world. They know what they're doing. They've been doing it for quite a while. Upward Sports. Love them, Sam. Love them. Now, you're going to talk about leaving your church.
Well, yes, and let's just be clear. I'm not leaving West Bradenton, and unless
I knew that would cause him to give some caveats to that. I love it.
I have more and more church members who listen to this. They're actually tuning in. So unless the Holy Spirit really does something between when this was recorded and when it airs, everything's good. I'm not leaving my church, but I have left a few churches for various reasons. One of them, they just gave me the boot. So how do you know when it's time? Well, if you get fired, that's how you know when it's time. It's time to go. You got fired.
That ends that portion of it.
But short of that, sometimes it's difficult. I have made one transition where I I still to this day don't know, was that the will of God? My motive was pure, and I genuinely tried to make the right decision. I don't believe I was selfish, but I still don't know. So sometimes it's just hard to know. And I want to walk through some of these filters for our audience, because it's a process I've been through a few times. And,
But you've been at your current church for almost 9 years.
yeah, I have. And yeah, it's been a wonderful tenure, and long tenure is usually better. It usually is, but there are times to make the transition, and how do you know?
And I know you
So
have several points, and I'm going to let you just go through them. I'm going to try not to interrupt too much. I have a tendency to do that. But just to simply say, you had your church where you have a question mark. I had my church where I have a question mark. And that
yeah,
church is just north of you in St. Petersburg, Florida. And to this day, I wondered if I should have left.
there's still a big question mark on that church.
Okay.
Is it even going to make it? Hopefully it does.
I
You
get
left and it
that.
fell apart, Dad.
Actually, well, that's not exactly the sequence, but anyway, it was a great situation. And I'm going to just mention this, and then it's all yours after this. I was being paid according to the hours that I was working minimum wage. I mean, seriously, I was
Yeah.
being paid minimum wage. And here's the thing about it: there's really nobody in the church that realized how low my pay was. Even even those who said it originally had just forgotten about it, and I had gone without any type of increase. And we were actually taking food out of the food closet in order to support our family. And I made a decision that I think was too financially centered. Yes, you have to support your family, but going back on looking at that, I think I could have said something to one or two people and it would have been changed. Pride was too big. So that's my word.
Well, that's one reason to know. That's one reason, is you can't take care of your family and the church isn't willing to do anything about it. Then you got to find another job. You got to be bivocational, or you just got to make a transition. Dad, I've talked to plenty of pastors in that situation where, hey, when I got started here, I didn't have any children. Now I
Hmm.
have 3 or 4 kids,
Right.
and the church has not increased my pay at all. I'm just gonna have to go someplace else. That's certainly a legitimate reason. You don't have to leave, of course, but it is a legitimate reason to be looking for another church.
It
Now, the
reminds me
average
that
age of a
church, it reminds me, I told you I wouldn't interrupt you anymore. I just did it. It reminds me that many of these churches out there, you lay leaders, whatever leadership team you're on, or go to the leadership team that talks about it, you need to be looking at what the compensation is of your pastor, because there's a good possibility no one's looked at it for quite a while. And the church may have changed significantly for the better, larger, healthier, whatever the case may be. And there has been no commensurate, even inflation factor increase in the pastor's pay. So that's my word
uh,
there.
inflation's eating my family alive. I certainly feel that. We've got 4 kids, and they eat a lot of food, and food's expensive.
I've seen one of your sons eat, and he does eat a lot of food.
Oh yeah. So the average age of a pastor is almost 60 years old. Um, so transitions are coming. Like, you know, most of these pastors are not going to pastor to the 85 years old. It's not like they have 25 more years. They may have 10 more years, and that's awesome. They may have 15 more years. That's great. But a lot of them are going to retire 65, 66, 67 years old. There's a huge chunk of them that will retire. And so as this average age of a pastor moves up, there are only going to be more transitions, and there will be a shortage of pastors. Nothing wrong with being an older pastor at all. In fact, that can be good in many ways because you got a lot of experience. There's just not people coming up, behind. There's not another generation or two that's
That's
there.
right.
Church is like, well, we'd like somebody 35 to 50, got a family, strong education. Good luck finding it. That can't, there's like 10 of us out there, right? It feels that way sometimes. It's like, take your pick of all 10 that are out there. There are
By
far
the
too
way,
many churches that need pastors and not enough younger pastors. So this is only going to become more of a problem.
Sam, I wrote a blog post on May 20th about this topic. So I'm
There
just
you
going
go.
to mention it so Alana can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
And I
So
said I
one of
wasn't
the
going to
things that,
interrupt you.
yeah, one of the things that's going to happen is we're, there's going to be a lot of internal promotions. And what I mean by that is, well, we can't find a pastor out there. So maybe somebody from within the congregation can do this role. I think you're going to see a lot more of that. So that may be healthy. That may end up being healthy in the long run. In the
Sure.
short term, it's going to be chaotic for a lot of churches. But when we're talking about you as an individual, so if you're listening to this, go, how do I know? Well, consider kind of in this vein, consider this topic, consider your life stage is what I'm trying to say. Where are you in your life stage? If you're 70 and you're thinking it's time to retire, it really is. Hey, maybe that's what God's leading you to do. If you just had your first baby and you're a younger pastor and you're like, I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet. I need to find, it could be that it's just time. You just finished seminary and you want to move from bivocational to full-time. I mean, these are all normal things. So I guess what I'm saying is don't be afraid of your life stage.
Yeah,
I get,
you could be 60 years old and you say, I'm going to stick around another 20 years and I'm going to run for president.
you know what? It's certainly possible. And we've seen it happen. So why not?
With two candidates at the same time.
Honestly, Dad, I just probably pick the pastor myself at this point, but maybe that's just me. Which pastor? I don't know any of them. I don't care at this point. I guess what I'm saying is don't feel bad about your life stage, whatever your life stage is. If it's time to make a transition because of a life stage, that's a legitimate reason. Now, can you be hopping around all the time and chasing more money and bigger churches? Well, no, that's not healthy either. But
Sure.
a lot of times when you get to a certain life stage, it's just time for a transition and it's natural. So just don't fear that, I guess, is what I'm saying.
And sometimes life stage can actually cause you to say, I want to stick around. You got kids
Yeah.
going into high school, for example. That might be, it's not the reason. As a matter of fact, you were going into high school when we moved to Louisville. So, if I had stuck to that, I would have said, I'm going to let my boys graduate, but I didn't. So it could keep you there. It could move you as well.
Yeah. And part of why, West Braden's a great church and I love pastoring here. But that drives a lot of the decision to stay at West Bradenton is I've got one going into middle school and one going into high school. So, it's a reason not to make a move. It
Right.
certainly can go the other way. As you are thinking about another church, consider your geographic limitations. Dad, we get these calls all the time at Church Answers. Hey, I know it's time to make a move. Can you help me find a position? We do that with our platinum clients. Actually, if you're interested, you can
Yes, right.
click on the membership button at churchanswers.com and you'll see the platinum level. It's our one-on-one coaching level where we give a lot of personal time. You and I give a lot of personal time to
By the way, we typically have 25, no more than 30 platinum clients at any one time. And of course, we've been doing this for several years. I counted one time that we had helped 26 platinum clients find their church. Now, that doesn't mean everybody. It just means over time, 26 of them.
It's part of what we do.
Yeah.
We help, we help pastors find jobs. So yeah, click the membership button at the top of churchanswers.com. It'll take you to the page where if you want to sign up for that, you can. But the point I want to make is we get that request a lot. And it's like, okay, well, what are your geographic limitations? Like, well, you almost feel like, well, it's got to be wide open to the Holy Spirit. And it's like, well, do you want to live in Alaska? Some people do. Some people don't. Well, no,
Right.
I don't want to live in Alaska. Okay, well, you've got some geographic limitations. Hey, Miami. Whoa, no, not Miami. I can't do that. Okay, so what? Who are you? Do you prefer a rural area? Do you prefer an urban area? Do you want to be in the Northeast? Do you want to be in the Southeast? And it is at the point that I'm making it in the same way that it's okay to make a move during a life stage issue. it's fine to have geographic preferences too. Of course, we all know you'll go where God calls. I get that. But
Exactly.
I understand that, but there's
But
going to be
how's
a lot
God
of
going to
openings.
speak to you? Exactly.
There's so many openings right now. Where do you want to start? Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
Rural area of Canada. Well, no, I can't do a rural area of Canada. Well, okay, well then you have some geographic limitations. What are those? Some people are wide open. Some people are literally just wherever, but most people say, you know what? There are certain things I can do and can't do in terms of my calling, and that's okay. So when you're looking for another church, you should have some parameters when it comes to geography.
Hey, and for you and your two brothers, just to let you know, we're talking to a lot of pastors who are moving closer to their parents if they don't bring their parents closer to them. Because old people like me, our minds go, our bodies go, everything goes. And sometimes the children just want to be there for them. If they can't bring them to where they are, they move closer. We've talked to a number of pastors who said, hey, can you get me somewhere in this area? Can you help me to be somewhere in this area? And I'm thinking of one particular client right now. We didn't get him in the exact state that he said, one of the 50 states, but we got him in a contiguous state that's really pretty close to where his parents are. So just that's happening a lot, and that's primarily with the millennial generation, Sam, and some
Yeah,
of the Gen X.
yeah, certainly. Um, so once you kind of understand your life stage, you've set some geographic limitations if you have them. The next thing to do is just start with trusted people in your network. This is a great way to go. Call your mentor, call some people that you know won't, reveal some of your thoughts because man, you don't want word to get out prematurely about you looking for a job. And networking is with people you know and trust is a great way to start. I think a lot of people miss this stage. They just go right to putting their resume on a job site, and there's several good ones that are out there, church staffing sites that are excellent.
Sure.
But I wouldn't do that first. That's a good way to go. But the first thing you need to do is just to reach out to some people, some trusted people in your network. Hey, it's like there's a professor I had at seminary. We're still kind of close. We'll call the professor up. I know a pastor down the road, a large church. We'll reach out. Start there first before just flooding your resume to multiple places, because you only want to do that if you're really, really flexible. Like, I'm going to put my resume out to 500 different places. Well, okay, you just better be that flexible with what's next.
By the way, when you're putting your resume out and you have references or people who will talk about you or recommend you, get their permission, please. Get their permission. I'm still thinking something. This happened a few years ago, but it's still fresh on my mind in this particular context. A pastor told the search committee, who had a favorable view of me, that we were good friends and that I was his mentor. And they called me up, and I said, "Who?" I said, "I think I remember him. He was a student at seminary, but no, we're not good friends. I haven't talked to him in years." Well, they went back to him and basically said, "You've been disingenuous, dishonest." And of course, they didn't call him, but he tried to cover himself. He wrote me some emails and all that. I didn't respond. But don't 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 get out there unless somebody says, "Okay, I'll be a reference," or if they happen to call me, I'll be available.
Yep. Well, and another way to go is with search firms. Stick to the ones that have good reputations. Again, I think it's better to start with your network than with the search firm, but there's nothing wrong with utilizing a search firm because they will work with you on what position, what geography. They'll walk you through a lot of what we're saying. But I like to start with just friends and mentors and trusted people first before I jump into a full blown, I'm flooding my resume out there. I'm going through a search firm, but it's a good part of the process when you get there is if, you've been doing this for 6 months, it's time, but nothing's really come of, not much has happened. All right, well, might be good to call up a search firm and put your name in there, and they can help you.
Right.
And the last thing I'll say, and this to me, honestly, this is the most important thing when you're thinking about, hey, is this the right time? What, should I find another church or not? Don't fantasize. That's the biggest thing of all. And I've been so guilty of this where, not now, but years ago when I was younger, fantasizing about the church that I thought I wanted. And that church doesn't exist. The fantasy doesn't exist. And I think if a lot of us are honest with ourselves, I don't know that everybody does this, but I think a lot of us probably do. I know I do. My fantasies were unreasonable. Let me put it that way. The kind of church that I desired, the kind of church that I wanted, particularly given experience, age, and background. If you're 23 years old, I mean, maybe you land the mega church that you fantasize about. I guess it's happened, but not likely.
It's rare. Yeah.
If all that you've done is pastor rural churches and done so with a lot of success, can you make the leap to an urban location? Maybe that's not a fantasy, but it's certainly outside of what you've done. And it would be an unusual move. Let me put it that way. So I would just say, understand your experience, understand your age, understand your background. If you're changing tribes and denominations, like there's a whole process about that. You don't just flip and go from Baptist to Presbyterian. I guess some do, but there's some doctrinal things there. So,
Yeah. Baptizo, whatever.
Yeah, it's nothing major. But I guess what I'm saying is it's very easy to get swept into your own fantasies and miss the opportunities. Because when you're thinking about the ideals, you're often missing reality and what could be a very good opportunity. So, what's your life stage? What are your geographic limitations? Hey, let's talk to some people you trust. Utilize Church Answers, for instance, with the Platinum Group. Keep it small. Don't flood your resume out there unless you're just really flexible. Maybe put your name in a search firm, and then above all else, just stop fantasizing about the ideals, because the ideals don't exist. So I think, these are some pretty practical things. Honestly, I've had to learn a lot of these the hard way, but particularly the fantasizing thing, because man, I thought the ideal church was out there, and guess what? It's not.
Neither's the ideal pastor.
Well, certainly want to.
That's another topic. I'll stop. I know you want to thank our sponsor.
I do, but you're right. Idealists make terrible pastors. How about that? I'll just leave that little thought out there and let it float. Certainly want to thank our sponsor, Tyndale. Man, they've got some incredible ways to discover and interact with God's Word. It's called the Filament Bible Collection. I absolutely love the Filament Bible app because it's a gateway to a deeper, more enriching Bible study experience. I've shown this many times to my own people. Tell them, go get a Filament-enabled Bible. Use this app. All that you do is you scan the page. It pulls up all sorts of resources around the text that's there on that page. It's absolutely fascinating. Go, does it really do that? It really does that. It's what I was told about it the first time. I thought, really? You just scan it and it pops up. It's sure enough. And boy, it's good stuff. Tens of thousands of study notes, hundreds of videos, dozens of maps and infographics, devotionals. Everything is in there around the text. So you can check it out at filamentbibles.com. We've got a link in the show notes as well. We'd love for you to go get one. Make excellent gifts, by the way. Or just for your own personal study. Can't go wrong with anything that Tyndale puts out, the New Living Translation, and specifically the Filament Bible Collection.
By the way, I'm checking on this. Just the date this is released is June 11th. So if you're listening to it on the day it was released, it's June 11th. What's Father's Day? Do you remember?
You're putting me on the spot about.
Well, I can look it up. I've got a calendar. I just want to see if it's too late to recommend it. June 19th. So this is releasing before Father's Day. That'd be a great Father's Day gift.
It would be an excellent Father's Day gift. I think that's a great idea. So if you're listening today, go get it today. And
Look, again, I know you're trying to get off. We had the Women's Bible as a sponsor for a while, and I
yeah,
told people that I got it for my wife for Mother's Day. She loved it. She
no.
absolutely loved it. So she got that Bible. Now we're going to recommend the Filament Bible for men. And I said I wasn't going to interrupt anymore, and I've interrupted a lot. Finish.
Well, we recommend that you give us a thumbs up as well if you're watching on YouTube. Hey, thanks for subscribing in your podcasting app. If you haven't subscribed, we'd love for you to do that on YouTube or in your podcasting app. And hey, we've got another episode coming up next week, just like we always do. We'll see you then.